Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 2 Bob. Welcome you to my blog. It's 5 to 6 in the morning here in Brisbane, at my home here in Brisbane. And today's topic is disproving the Big Bang Theory. Disproving the Big Bang Theory. Okay, you need to realize that this theory is quite ridiculous. It's shoved down people's throats as a fact, but in reality, it doesn't even hold up as a substantial opinion or theory. It's rubbish. Okay, so let's talk about the Big Bang Theory. So, occurring around 13.8 billion years ago, we were told that there were three essential elements: matter, space, and time. Those three things popped into existence, or banged into existence, so to speak. Those three things came into existence at exactly the same time, simultaneous. That's the term you need to remember in all this, simultaneous. So those three things came into existence at the exact same time. That's what we're told as fact. Okay, that's what we're told. Now, there are some obvious issues with this theory. For example, what is the only logical way you can create space? Well, the only logical way you can create space is to move whatever is currently occupying that space. Now, we know this is true because the fundamental nature of matter is that it occupies space. Matter occupies space. So therefore, in order to create space in a certain area, you just move whatever's occupying that space. So the space is empty. It's very, very simple. For example, you go into a room. Your room is full of all kinds of stuff, and a friend is coming over to sleep over, and you want to make some space in that room. So obviously you just take some stuff out, or you just reorganize things more efficiently to create space, extra space in that room. It's really, really simple. It's a simple idea. So the only logical way you can create space is to move whatever's currently occupying that space. So if you move the item, then there's your space. It's really, really simple. And that alone disproves the theory of the Big Bang Theory, because Big Bang Theory tells us that those two things, matter and space, came into existence at the exact same time, which we know is logically and fundamentally impossible. Now let's talk about matter. Well, again, this just comes down to basic common sense. How can matter expand? Matter has to expand into space, which is already there, doesn't it? So space is a prerequisite for the expansion of matter, isn't it? So we're told that the Big Bang event, matter exploded radially outwards like that, but has to expand into space, which is already there. I mean, it's just straight out ridiculous. Now, what about time? That's the third thing that's supposedly popped into existence. Time. Well, time isn't physically real. It's just a construct, a concept that we created. We created time as something that we use to measure reality with. Time conceptually goes back to negative infinity and to positive infinity with respect to a point, an arbitrary point that that time is measured with respect to. For example, the present. So the present is now. So time goes back negative infinity and goes to positive infinity in the future. It's a really simple concept. Okay, we created time. The Big Bang didn't create time. We created time, because time doesn't physically exist. Time is a concept up in here that we created. So what are we talking about here? So if matter is finite, then space has to be eternal via logical necessity. It's really simple. So the Big Bang Theory could not have possibly created space if matter is finite. Because what was there before matter? Before 13.8 billion years ago, whenever it was it supposedly occurred, well, what else could you have? Empty space. So before the existence of the physical universe, you just had empty space. Okay, so obviously the universe is a product of a cause which has the capacity to operate outside the laws of physics. I mean, that should just be obvious, because the laws of physics only applies to the physical world of matter. Space is just something which exists between physical objects. The laws of physics applies to matter, to objects, to physical objects in the universe. So if there's no physical objects, there's no laws of physics. Yet we have the laws of physics. So we know that the laws of physics was created by an entity which is fundamentally outside the laws of physics. Okay, so it's very easy to disprove this theory. It's a false theory and needs to be removed from our educational system, but above all, it needs to be removed from here. Okay? Now, when I was a boy, a young fella, I was about 10, 11 years old. I can't remember exactly when. I went around to a friend's house and his older brother grabbed an old rusty stick, tapped it on my shoulder and said, "Next Christmas you're going to die." It was like some stupid playground curse. Stupid things that kids do. Now, I grew up thinking that's the worst theory I've ever heard in my life. And I use it as a benchmark to assess and measure the credibility of other theories. And it's only until I come across this Big Bang theory that the stupidity of that particular theory was challenged. I mean, tapping someone on the shoulder and telling them they're going to die on Christmas Day, the next Christmas Day, that's one level of stupidity. But I submit to you, the Big Bang theory takes this level of stupidity to a new level. It really does. It really is just a dumb theory and it just needs to be removed from our textbooks. Now let's talk about this singularity. Man, what on earth is this singularity? Is it physical? Is it spiritual? Is it what? Now, the people that really support this Big Bang theory, they're not really into spiritualism or spiritual objects like God or anything like that. So from their vantage point, the singularity has to be physical in nature. So the laws of physics already applies at that point. But they say that's infinitesimally small. Again, that's just logically impossible. You cannot possibly have something which is infinitesimally small. Because as something approaches infinity, it's a concept to approach infinity. Right? As something gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, yes, it approaches the point of becoming infinitesimally small. But that's a concept. So the singularity, whatever it is, it has to occupy a certain amount of space, doesn't it? But what's holding this thing together? Well, in time, it's the very nature of any physical object to lose its energy over time. Things it breaks down. So this singularity would have broken down many years ago. Man, it doesn't really make any sense. The whole singularity thing is just a joke. It's not infinitesimally small. It didn't come from singularity. So that's really what I have to say about that. So as far as how did the universe did come into existence, well, obviously it was created by someone or something or someone that has the capacity to operate outside the laws of physics. That's just obvious. So in my humble opinion, at some point in the past, the universe simply popped into existence via an intelligent cause that many refer to as God. So many Christians believe that God created the universe. I happen to agree with that point. Now, how he did it, I've got no idea. But that's what I believe. At some point in the past, God put the universe into existence, but before he did that, all he had was empty space. Now people say, well, if all he had is empty space, then where's God? Well, God's not anywhere. He's not people say he's omnipresent. Well, I just think he's just present in some capacity. And that's pretty much my thoughts on the matter. Anyway, that'll do. That's the Big Bang Theory. It's a dumb theory. So I'll just recap some of the points I made in this video. The Big Bang Theory says that matter, space and time came into existence at the exact same time. But this is fundamentally and logically impossible, because in order to create space, matter has to already be there as a precursor to the creation of space. So you can't have, one has to exist before the other. Now space has to be eternal in its nature if matter is finite. Now the Big Bang Theory obviously tells us that matter is finite. Now there are those that believe it came from singularity, there are those that believe it came from nothing. So if it came from nothing, then matter obviously has a finite, it came into existence at a finite point in the past. So space has to be there before this the creation of matter. Okay, so that's wrong. It's as simple as that. It didn't create time. Time is up here. We created time. So anything that Big Bang did create has to be physical. Okay. All right then, that's about it. So I'll see you next video.